The Nexarian diplomats stood in perfect formation around the crystalline negotiation chamber, their chitinous armor gleaming under the artificial lights of Station Concordia. Ambassador Thexcal clicked his mandibles in satisfaction as he reviewed the ambush protocols one final time on his wrist display. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. "The human delegation's shuttle has docked," his aide reported, compound eyes reflecting the tactical readouts. "One representative as requested." Thexcal allowed himself a moment of triumph. For 3 cycles, the Terran Alliance had been a thorn in the Nexarian Collective's expansion plans. These upstart primates had refused every demand, won every skirmish, and somehow turned the entire Outer Rim against Nexarian interests. But now, with their diplomat walking into a carefully constructed trap, the war would end before the Galactic Day was through. The chamber doors hissed open. What entered was not what Thexcal expected. The human stood nearly 2 meters tall, broad-shouldered and moving with a predator's economy of motion. Instead of diplomatic robes, she wore a simple military uniform, charcoal gray with minimal insignia. Her hair was pulled back severely, revealing a face marked by a thin scar running from temple to jaw. Most unsettling were her eyes, cold, calculating, and completely unafraid. "General Sarah Chen," she introduced herself, her voice carrying the flat authority of someone accustomed to being obeyed. "Terran Marine Corps, 3rd Expeditionary Fleet." Thexacal's mandibles twitched in confusion. "We requested a diplomatic envoy, not a military officer." "I am your envoy," Chen replied, stepping fully into the chamber. The doors sealed behind her with a finality that made several Nexarian guards shift nervously. "Shall we begin?" The ambassador recovered his composure. It didn't matter who they sent. The trap would spring regardless. "Of course. Please take a seat at the negotiation table." Chen didn't move toward the table. Instead, she walked slowly around the chamber's perimeter, her boots clicking against the polished floor. Her gaze swept across every corner, every vent, every supposedly decorative panel. The Nexarians exchanged uncertain glances. "Interesting architecture," Chen observed. 47 concealed weapons emplacements, if I'm counting correctly. The ventilation system has been modified to disperse nerve agents, clever routing through the auxiliary ducts. And unless I'm mistaken, those honor guards are wearing assault armor beneath their ceremonial cloaks. She paused at one wall panel, rapping it with her knuckles. "Explosive charges here, here, and here. Enough to seal the chamber and incinerate everything inside." The chamber fell deathly silent. Thexcal felt his respiratory spiracles constrict. "How did you—" "I'm a general, ambassador, not an idiot." Chen turned to face him fully, and now her expression carried something that might have been amusement, if amusement could be weaponized. "Did you really think we'd walk into your peace talks without reconnaissance? We've had microdrones mapping this station for 2 weeks. Then why did you come?" Thexcal demanded, his composure finally cracking. "Because you needed to understand something about humans," Chen said quietly. She moved to the center of the chamber, directly beneath the station's core structural column. "You see us as weak because we negotiate. You mistake our preference for peace as an inability to wage war. That's a fatal miscalculation." She tapped her wrist communicator. "Execute." The station shuddered. Every screen in the chamber flickered to life, displaying the same image. Nexarian fleet positions, military installations, supply lines, all highlighted in red. As Thexacal watched in horror, those red markers began winking out one by one. "While you were planning this ambush," Chen explained, her voice never rising above conversational level, "my fleet was positioning around every major Nexarian military asset in this sector. Not to attack, not yet. Just to demonstrate that we could. At this moment, we have firing solutions on 63 of your installations. Your homeworld's orbital defense grid has been compromised. Your supply convoys are dead in space. Their navigation systems, courtesy of a virus my cyber warfare team introduced 3 days ago." Thexcal's legs gave out. He caught himself on the negotiation table, his mind racing through implications. "Complete military collapse. The collective defenseless." "You're bluffing," he whispered, but there was no conviction in his words. "Am I?" Chen gestured at the screens. "I could give the order right now. Your entire civilization could be ash before your next meal cycle. But I won't. Do you know why?" Thexcal shook his head mutely. "Because we actually want peace." Chen's expression softened slightly, though her eyes remained hard. Humans don't enjoy war, Ambassador. We've fought enough of them among ourselves to understand the cost. Every soldier I've lost, I remember their name. Every family I've had to write to. Every promise I've broken to parents that I'd bring their children home. Those scars don't heal. She walked to the table and placed both palms flat on its surface. But make no mistake, our desire for peace doesn't make us peaceful. It makes us practical. We'll negotiate because it's better for everyone. We'll compromise because wisdom demands it. But if you force us to fight, we'll do it with a totality that will terrify you. Because when humans go to war, we don't just want to win. We want to make sure we never have to fight that war again. The ambassador found his voice. What do you want? Real negotiations. Actual peace. Trade agreements that benefit both species. Border accords we'll both honor. And a mutual understanding that we're better as partners than enemies. Chen straightened. You have 6 hours to bring authorized negotiators to this table. Real ones with actual authority to make binding agreements. When they arrive, I'll order my fleet to stand down. If they don't, she let the sentence hang. Thexcal's aide was already on his communicator, frantically contacting the Nexarian High Command. The ambassador looked up at the human general, seeing her clearly for the first time. Your species is terrifying, he said simply. Chen's smile was grim. No, Ambassador. We're just survivors. We've been fighting gravity, disease, predators, and each other for millions of years on a world that tried very hard to kill us at every turn. We learned to be good at it. We learned to be efficient at it. And most importantly, we learned when not to do it. She turned toward the door. 6 hours, Ambassador. I'll be on my shuttle. Send word when you're ready to actually talk peace. As the human general walked out of the chamber, the Nexarians remained frozen, staring at the tactical displays showing their own vulnerability. The trap had indeed been sprung, just not the way they'd planned. Outside the station, the human fleet held position in perfect formation, weapons cold but ready. And on her shuttle, General Sarah Chen allowed herself a small moment of relief. Sometimes, she reflected, the best way to achieve peace was to demonstrate exactly what would happen if peace failed. The Nexarians sent their real negotiators in 4 hours. The treaty they signed lasted for generations,